Warriors, welcome back to Gods of Alliance. If you're here, it means you want power, knowledge, and control over the battlefield. This is not luck. This is strategy. Let's break the game together. Warriors, today we are talking about one of the most intriguing titans ever introduced into Hero Wars Alliance. A titan that many players are already judging incorrectly. A titan that some players expect to be a damage dealer. A titan that others believe is simply another support. And a titan that, in reality, may be far more important than either of those descriptions. Today, we talk about ORM, the newest Elarite Titan. And before we even look at his skill, before we talk about teams, before we discuss where he fits in the meta, I want to start somewhere else. His skin. Because Warriors. The skin immediately tells us something important about the way the developers want ORM to be played. His first skin provides physical attack, and I already know what some players are thinking. Why physical attack on a support titan? That question seems logical until you understand ORM, because ORM is not a healer. He is not a shield generator. He is not a passive support that simply stands in the back line helping others. ORM creates value through battlefield interaction. Everything he does becomes stronger when his own statistics become stronger. That means physical attack matters a lot. And because this is currently the only skin available to us, our recommendation is simple. Build it. Invest in it. Max it. Do not wait. Do not hesitate. Because every future decision you make with ORM will stand on the foundation of this skin. And Warriors, there is another reason we need to pay attention. A second skin is already coming. We know it is arriving. We know it will change the conversation. But we do not have the numbers yet. We do not know exactly how it will impact his priorities. So for now, the physical attack skin becomes the obvious starting point. And once the second skin arrives, we will revisit everything. But now, Warriors. Let's move into the real reason ORM exists. His skill, Devastating Link, and this is where things become very interesting. Because ORM immediately reveals what kind of titan he wants to be. Not a carry, not a damage machine, not a stat monster, a strategist. ORM links every allied titan to the enemy standing in the center of the opposing formation. For 8 seconds, part of the damage your team receives is collected. Stored, accumulated, waiting, then suddenly, everything is released back onto that marked target. And Warriors, the damage is actually not the most important part. The target is, because who usually stands in the center? The engine, the core, the titan holding everything together, the summoner, the support, the piece that makes the strategy function. And ORM does not care about eliminating the entire enemy team immediately. He wants to punish the titan that keeps the machine running, destroy the engine, and often the entire structure collapses. That is where ORM becomes dangerous. Not through raw numbers, through intelligent pressure. And suddenly his water and Elarite identity starts making sense. Because water titans love longer battles. They survive. They endure. They create opportunities over time, and ORM thrives in exactly that environment. The longer the battle lasts, the more value he generates. And Warriors, that brings us directly into his artifacts. Because the developers clearly had a very specific vision when creating ORM. Let's start with the weapon. Zorval's Right. Simple, powerful, team-focused. Exactly what a support titan should have. Whenever Devastating Link activates, the entire team gains additional defense against light titans and dark titans. And immediately, we can see the direction. Because light and dark titans continue becoming more common throughout the game, every season, every update, every new composition. And ORM arrives carrying a tool specifically designed to help your entire team survive against both. Not himself, everyone. That is what makes this weapon so valuable. Support titans should never be judged by what they do alone. They should be judged by what they allow everyone else to do. And this weapon does exactly that. So warriors, our recommendation is very aggressive here. Push it, star it, build it, take it to absolute star. And once it reaches high stars, do not be afraid to take it from 110 to 120, because those extra levels are not helping one Titan. They are helping your entire formation. And that creates tremendous value. Now let's move to the crown. And again, the pattern continues. The Elarite crown increases both damage and defense against light and dark Titans. Offense, defense, pressure, survivability, everything ORM wants. Everything his team wants. And once again, this is why we started with the skin. Because every point of physical attack strengthens ORM. And a stronger ORM makes every piece of his kit more effective. Everything begins connecting together. Everything begins supporting everything else. So our recommendation remains the same. Build it. Invest into it. Take it to 120 when possible, because the value continues growing over time. Now warriors, the seal. And this is where our priorities change slightly, because unlike the weapon and the crown, the seal focuses on ORM himself. Physical attack, health, useful, important, but not transformative. Because ORM does not win battles through personal statistics, he wins battles through devastating link. He wins battles through team support. He wins battles by creating opportunities. That is where his value comes from. So while the seal absolutely deserves investment, we personally place it below the weapon and below the crown. Build it, develop it, but don't rush it. Keeping it around level 90 to 100 initially is perfectly reasonable while you focus resources on the two artifacts that create the biggest impact. Weapon first, crown second, seal third. Simple, efficient, effective, and warriors. That brings us to the most important conclusion. ORM is not a Titan designed to dominate highlight reels. He is not built to produce the biggest damage numbers. He is not trying to become the star of the team. He is trying to make everyone else stronger. Protection, pressure, support, opportunity creation. That is ORM. And honestly, those are often the Titans players underestimate the most, until suddenly they are everywhere. Because once players understand how to use them properly, their value becomes impossible to ignore. So warriors, this is only the beginning. We now understand the skin. We understand the skill. We understand the artifacts. But the next question is even more exciting. Where does ORM fit? Which water compositions benefit the most? Which Elarite teams unlock his full potential? And most importantly, which Titans can shut him down? Because understanding a Titan is only half the battle. Learning how to exploit his strengths is where victories begin. Warriors, this is how we play the game. Not randomly, not blindly. With knowledge, with precision, with control. We don't build randomly. We build with intention. Master the mechanics. Control the fight. Let's break the game together.